the song that healed a dying silver wolf and revealed the secrets of the pack. In this quiet twilight, the forest seemed alive, not just with the rustle of leaves or the distant cry of an owl, but with something older, something that remembered the world before kings and curses. Lyra walked softly along the hidden path, her bare feet making no sound against the damp earth. She carried a small lute on her back, its polished wood catching what little light there was. Her fingers itched to touch its strings, for she carried a song that had been passed down through generations, a song said to heal the gravest wounds. Yet, the song was dangerous. To sing it fully, she would have to pour out not just her voice, but her soul. Many had tried before her and had failed, but she had no choice. Far ahead, the forest thickened and a strange stillness fell. The birds had stopped singing, and the wind itself seemed to hold its breath. Lyra's heart beat faster. She had heard the tales of the silver wolves that roamed these woods, creatures half man, half beast, cursed to wander between worlds. The stories spoke of their beauty and terror in equal measure. Some said they were guardians of ancient magic. Others whispered they were exiles of a royal bloodline, punished for crimes long forgotten. She stepped carefully into a small clearing. There, beneath the skeletal branches of an ancient oak, she saw him. The silver wolf lay on the ground, his coat dull and matted, though it still shimmered faintly under the moonlight. His limbs were twisted, his breathing shallow, and his amber eyes, when they flickered open, held a mixture of fear, pain, and something Lyra could not name. Even in his weakened state, he radiated strength, like a mountain about to crumble yet refusing to fall. Lyra knelt beside him, trembling with a mixture of fear and awe. I can help you," she whispered, though she did not know if he could understand her. "I have a song." The wolf's gaze sharpened, a low growl vibrating in his chest. He tried to stand but faltered, his claws scraping against the earth. Lyra flinched. There was power here, raw and untamed. She could feel it pressing against her, testing her courage. "You are not like the others," she said softly. "I can feel it." The silver wolf's eyes narrowed. For a long moment neither moved. The forest around them seemed to listen. Then slowly he lowered himself to the ground again, as if accepting her presence but not yet her help. Lyra took a deep breath and drew her lute from her back. The air smelled of damp earth and old magic. She touched the strings gently, letting them hum under her fingers. A single note rang out, clear and soft, carrying with it a sense of longing, of sadness, and of hope. The wolf flinched at the sound, ears twitching, eyes narrowing. Yet he did not flee. Lyra closed her eyes and let the music flow from her lips, a simple melody at first, like the sigh of the wind through the trees. But as she sang, the song deepened, wrapping around the silver wolf like a warm embrace. The creature's amber eyes softened. His breathing grew steadier. The muscles in his body, tense with pain and distrust, began to relax. Lyra felt a strange warmth spread from her chest, as if the song were not only healing him, but also touching her own heart, stirring emotions she had tried to bury. For hours, she sang, until her throat ached and her fingers trembled. The moon shifted overhead, casting a pale glow that illuminated the silver wolf's magnificent form. He stirred, rising to his feet slowly, unsteady but alive. His golden eyes met hers, and in them was a silent question. "Who are you, and why do you care?" I don't know," Lyra admitted, her voice trembling, "but I had to try." The wolf inclined his head slightly, a gesture that was almost human. Then, with a grace that belied his exhaustion, he stepped closer. Lyra could feel the heat of his body and the pulse of life returning to his limbs. For a moment there was only the two of them, bound by a fragile thread of trust. "Kaelin," he said at last, his voice deep and resonant, yet rough with disuse. Lyra's eyes widened. The wolf could speak. Not many could, she knew, not outside of legends. You can speak," she asked, hardly believing it. Kaelin's gaze was steady. "I have always spoken, few would listen." Lyra felt a pang of understanding. She had been listening. And now perhaps so would he. but their moment of fragile peace was shattered. From the edge of the clearing, a rustling sound came. Lyra's hands tightened on her lute, and Kaelin's ears twitched, his body tense like a coiled spring. Shadows moved among the trees, watching, waiting. "Someone is out there," Kaelin murmured, his voice a low growl. "We are not alone." Lyra swallowed, her heart hammering in her chest. "What do we do?" Kaelin did not answer immediately. He crouched low, muscles rippling beneath silver fur. His gaze scanned the tree line, sharp and wary. "We survive," he said finally. "Whatever comes, we survive." The rustling grew louder and a shape emerged, a large wolf, black as midnight with eyes like burning coals. Lyra could feel the tension radiating from Kaelin. He growled, a sound that shook the clearing and sent birds fluttering into the night sky. The black wolf stopped at the edge of the clearing, watching, unblinking. "Kaelin," it said, voice smooth and dangerous. "You have broken the silence of the cursed woods. You are mine to answer for." Kaelin's body tensed. "I answer to no one," he said, though his voice carried a note of fear beneath the defiance. Lyra felt a chill run down her spine. She did not understand the full history between these wolves, but she could sense the weight of it, the centuries of betrayal, exile, and power struggles. The black wolf was not here for peace. "Then you will face what you have avoided for too long," the black wolf said, stepping closer. Its eyes flickered over Lyra, and she instinctively stepped back. Kaelin's stance shifted, placing himself between her and the intruder. The wind picked up, whistling through the trees, carrying with it the scent of danger. Lyra's heart raced, but amidst the fear, a strange calm settled over her. She knew the song she had sung had done more than heal the body, it had reached Kaelin's spirit. And now perhaps it could do more. Kaelin's amber eyes met hers. In that silent exchange she felt his trust, fragile and new, yet unyielding. "Sing," he murmured, almost as if it were a plea and a command at once. Lyra nodded, lifting her lute once more. Her fingers trembled as she plucked the first notes, soft and steady. The black wolf froze, ears twitching, as if the music itself held a power it could not challenge. The song grew, weaving through the trees, wrapping the clearing in silver light. Lyra poured every ounce of courage and hope into it, her voice carrying not just healing, but warning, promise, and defiance. Kaelin's fur shimmered, silver light flowing over him like liquid moonlight. The black wolf snarled, then hesitated, as if recognizing the ancient power that Lyra and Kaelin now shared. It took a step back, eyes narrowing, before finally vanishing into the shadows of the forest, leaving only silence in its wake. Kaelin lowered himself beside Lyra, breathing heavily but steady. "You have saved me," he said quietly, "but this is only the beginning." Lyra's voice trembled. "The beginning of what?" "The secrets of my pack, the truth of the curse, and the darkness that still hunts us," Kaelin replied. His amber eyes held both warning and hope. "We have a long journey ahead, and you, Lyra, have chosen to walk it with me." Lyra's heart swelled, fear and excitement mingling in her chest. I will not leave you." The wind whispered through the trees, carrying the scent of moonlight and moss. Somewhere far off, a howl echoed, a sound of warning, of longing, of a story yet unfinished. Lyra and Kaelin watched the forest together, two souls bound by music, trust, and the fragile beginnings of something neither fully understood. The night stretched on, silver and quiet, yet alive with promise. And as the moon climbed higher, its pale light falling over the pair, Lyra knew that the path ahead would be dangerous, but it would also be filled with wonders and truths long buried in shadow. And so, under the shattered moon, the song of healing and hope lingered, a fragile promise that even the most broken hearts might find redemption, and that even the fiercest wolves might learn to trust again. The forest of Urindor seemed even quieter after the night of the shattered moon. Shadows lingered long beneath the trees, and the wind carried a soft, haunting whisper through the branches, as if it remembered every secret ever told beneath the silver leaves. Lyra followed Kaelin through a narrow path, her bare feet brushing against damp moss. She could feel the lingering strength in him, now fully awakened by her song, yet there was still pain in his movement, a reminder of his long exile and the curse that had bound him for centuries. Kaelin walked with purpose, his golden eyes scanning every shadow, every rustle of leaves. Though he now trusted Lyra, he had learned over the decades that caution was survival. "The ruins are near," he said, his voice low, like the rumble of distant thunder. "The home of my pack, though it is no longer home to anyone living." Lyra glanced up at him, curiosity mingled with unease. "What happened here?" Kaelin's eyes darkened and his ears flattened slightly. "Betrayal," he said simply. "My own blood turned against me and the curse was cast. The pack was broken, scattered, or hidden in shadows. Only the truth of the past can bring them back or destroy what little remains." Lyra shivered. The air around them felt heavy with unspoken stories, ancient grievances, and sorrow. She realized that Kaelin carried not only the weight of a curse, but also the burden of centuries of loss and betrayal. And yet, despite it all, he still moved forward. After hours of walking, they came upon the ruins. Broken stone walls rose from the ground, covered in moss and tangled vines. The banners that once marked the territory of the Silver Wolf pack lay torn and faded. The scent of earth and decay hung in the air, mixed with something faintly metallic, like old blood. Lyra's heart ached at the sight of such desolation. "This was once the heart of my family," Kaelin murmured, stepping carefully over a fallen pillar. "Now it is only memory and shadow." Lyra reached out, gently touching the cold stone. "Is there a way to restore it?" she asked, her voice almost a whisper. "To bring them back?" Kaelin looked at her, eyes softening. "Perhaps, but the truth is hidden." The curse was more than punishment. It was a secret, meant to protect or to conceal. The pack was not destroyed for weakness, but because someone feared the prophecy, that one among us could save or doom the kingdom. Lyra's fingers tightened around the strap of her lute. "A prophecy," Kaelin nodded slowly. "A wolf of silver, bound by song and blood, who could either awaken the power of the pack or bring ruin to all. I am that wolf, whether I wish to be or not." The words hung between them, heavy and electric. Lyra felt a mixture of awe and fear. To carry such a destiny was unimaginable, yet she saw something else in Kaelin: hesitation, doubt, and a longing for redemption. He had not asked for this path, but fate had chosen him, and now she was part of it. The ruins were silent, save for the soft rustle of wind through broken walls. Kaelin led her to the central hall, a space where light from the moon fell through cracks in the ceiling. Stone steps led up to a raised platform, once used for gatherings, now covered in moss and debris. "This is where my family met, where decisions were made," Kaelin said, his voice echoing softly, "and where the curse began." Lyra knelt beside a shattered stone, running her fingers over the carved symbols. "What do they mean?" Kaelin crouched beside her, amber eyes tracing the faded lines. "Old magic," he said. "Words of power meant to protect the pack." "But they were twisted by fear, by envy, by hatred. The curse that fell upon me was meant to hide the truth and to prevent the prophecy from ever coming to light." Lyra shivered. "Then, your pack never knew the whole story." "Some knew and some lied," Kaelin replied. "Even those who loved me could not act against the fear that grew among us. And so I was cast out, and the silver wolves scattered." Lyra's heart ached at the thought of such betrayal. Yet she could also feel the pain within Kaelin, the loneliness that had become a part of him over centuries. "You don't deserve this," she said softly. Kaelin's gaze met hers, sharp yet vulnerable. "Deserve is a word I no longer understand," he murmured. "I survived, but survival is hollow when you are hunted by those you trusted most." Lyra placed a hand on his forearm. "Then let me help you. Let me uncover the truth, and perhaps we can restore what was lost." For a moment Kaelin said nothing, studying her with an intensity that made her breath catch. Then slowly he nodded. Perhaps, but the path will not be easy. There are those who would stop us, those who wish the curse to remain for their own power. The wind carried a sudden chill, rustling the banners and sending leaves swirling across the hall. Lyra felt a shiver of foreboding. Danger lurked nearby, though she could not yet see it. And yet, despite the fear, she felt a sense of purpose. She had healed his body with her song. Now perhaps she could heal his heart, and together they could reveal the secrets of the pack. Kaelin led her further into the ruins, down a narrow corridor where shadows clung to the walls. There, etched into stone, were markings she did not recognize, symbols of protection, of warning, of history long forgotten. "These are the records of my pack," Kaelin explained. "Not all of them survive the curse, but some remain hidden, waiting to be found by those who seek the truth. The path is dangerous, for the knowledge is guarded by spirits and magic older than the kingdom itself." Lyra's eyes widened. "Spirits?" Kaelin nodded. "Yes. The silver wolves were never ordinary creatures. Our blood is intertwined with the magic of the forest. To uncover the truth, we must face what is hidden, not only in the ruins but in ourselves." Lyra felt a strange thrill mixed with fear. She had never been part of a story like this, yet she could not turn away. Her fingers itched to play her lute, to summon the courage she would need. Kaelin sensed her thoughts. "Your song will guide us," he said quietly. "It is stronger than you know, but it must be used wisely. The wrong note, the wrong moment, could awaken dangers beyond your imagining." Lyra nodded. She understood the weight of her gift, and she knew that this was only the beginning. As they delved deeper into the ruins, they encountered signs of the past, remnants of a feast hall, broken furniture, and faded murals depicting the silver wolves in their glory. Kaelin paused before one mural, tracing the outline of a figure with his claw. "That was my father," he said softly, "a leader proud and wise, and yet even he could not prevent the curse." Lyra studied the mural, sensing the sorrow and pride intertwined in it. "He believed in the pack," she said gently. Kaelin's amber eyes glistened. "And I must believe in it again. For if I do not, the prophecy will remain unfulfilled, and the darkness will continue." The ruins seemed to shift around them as night deepened. Shadows grew longer and the air became heavier, filled with a sense of waiting. Lyra could feel the magic in the stones, ancient and patient, as if the forest itself was observing their every move. Suddenly, a sound shattered the quiet, a growl, low and warning, coming from deeper within the ruins. Kaelin tensed, ears flicking, body coiled. Lyra gripped her lute, fear and anticipation racing through her. A figure stepped from the shadows, a wolf, but unlike Kaelin. Its fur was black, eyes glowing with an intensity that seemed almost unnatural. It was the same one they had encountered before, the rival alpha who had observed them in the forest. "You have entered the heart of secrets not meant for you," the black wolf said, voice low and commanding. "Turn back or face what you cannot survive." Kaelin stepped forward, placing himself between Lyra and the intruder. "We do not fear what is hidden nor what is old," he said. "We seek the truth, and we will not be denied." The black wolf's eyes narrowed. "Then prepare yourselves. The knowledge you seek will demand more than courage. It will demand sacrifice, and perhaps even the bond you have forged will be tested beyond its limits." Lyra felt her heart pound, but she did not step back. Kaelin's presence gave her strength, and she could sense that together they might face even the shadows of history. For a long moment, silence stretched between them, the ruins holding its breath. Then the black wolf slowly vanished into the darkness, leaving only a warning echoing through the stone halls. Kaelin exhaled, tension leaving his body, though his eyes remained sharp. "This is only the beginning," he said. "We have much to uncover, and the shadows are watching. But with your song, Lyra, perhaps we can awaken the pack and with it the truth." Lyra nodded, determination blooming in her chest. She had healed his body, and now she would help heal his past, the pack and the prophecy itself. Together, they would face the secrets hidden in shadow, and perhaps find redemption not only for Kaelin, but for the world that had forgotten the silver wolves. As the first light of dawn began to touch the ruins, casting long beams through the broken ceiling, Lyra and Kaelin stood side by side. The forest outside stirred with life, and the air was heavy with possibility. Somewhere in the distance, a howl echoed, a reminder that the pack was not entirely gone, and that their journey had only just begun. Lyra lifted her lute, feeling the power of the song ready within her, and Kaelin's golden eyes met hers with a silent promise. Together, they would uncover the truth, face the shadows, and perhaps, in doing so, bring hope back to a land long steeped in darkness. But even as they prepared to take the first steps into the heart of the secret, the forest seemed to whisper a warning. The past was alive, and the eyes of the rival Alpha would not rest. Danger awaited them in ways they could not yet imagine, and the bond they had forged would be tested like never before. And so, beneath the silent ruins of the Silver Wolf Pack, the story continued, a tale of trust, courage, and the awakening of a power long hidden in shadows. The storm had begun before Lyra and Kaelin even noticed it. The sky above Erendor had darkened to a deep, bruised purple, and clouds rolled like restless spirits over the mountains. Rain began to fall, cold and sharp, soaking the forest floor and turning the narrow paths into slippery trails of mud. Yet Kaelin moved forward with a steady, unyielding pace, his silver fur glistening with droplets, eyes like molten gold in the dim light. Lyra followed closely, her lute secured on her back, though her fingers itched to play. She could feel the power in the song still lingering inside her, a spark of hope and warmth she had shared with Kaelin. But now, the music felt fragile, almost like a thin thread holding together the bond between them. Every step into the deeper forest made her aware of the dangers that waited, not only in shadows, but in the secrets of Kaelin's past. Kaelin led her to a high cliff that overlooked a deep valley, the storm twisting the mist into shapes that seemed almost alive. "This is where the forest thins and the veil between worlds grows thin," he said. His voice was steady but carried an edge of warning. "Here, the magic of my pack is strongest, and here, we will begin to uncover what has been hidden for centuries." Lyra shivered, not from the cold but from the sense of anticipation. She looked into the swirling mist below and felt as though she were staring into a memory not her own. "What do we do?" she asked. Kaelin lowered himself to the ground, crouching like a hunter. "The spirits of the pack are bound to the ruins. They have guarded the secrets for centuries, testing those who seek the truth. To awaken them, your song must reach deeper than before. It must touch the heart of the forest and the heart of me." Lyra's throat tightened. She had sung to heal his body, to bring him back from the brink of death. But now, to awaken the ancient spirits, she would have to sing to his soul, and in doing so, risk exposing her own heart, her own fears, and her own vulnerabilities. Kaelin's gaze softened, and he placed a gentle paw on hers. "I will trust you," he said, "even if it demands more than either of us can give." The first notes she played were cautious, like whispers against the roar of the storm. But as she sang, the melody grew, winding through the rain and wind, reaching into the ancient magic of the valley below. The stones at her feet began to shimmer faintly, the moss trembling with life as though the forest itself had begun to awaken. Kaelin's amber eyes closed as he listened, and Lyra could see the tension in his body slowly unraveling. His breathing deepened, and for the first time in centuries he seemed at peace, though that peace was fragile, hanging on the edge of her song. Suddenly a howl echoed from the valley, raw and urgent. Lyra faltered, her song catching in her throat. The howl was not one voice but many spirits of the pack, testing, watching, judging. Kaelin's muscles tensed. "Do not stop," he urged, "even if it frightens you. The song must reach them all, or the secrets will remain hidden and the curse will never end." Lyra nodded, swallowing her fear, and continued to play. Her voice rose, carrying not only hope but sorrow, courage, and longing. The wind seemed to answer her, swirling around them in a silver spiral that lifted leaves and raindrops into the air. Shadows danced, and in the distance, she could see the faint outlines of wolves, spectral forms, silver and glowing, circling the valley. The spirits were responding. The song touched them, calling forth memories of loyalty, of love, of betrayal, and of sorrow. Kalen's body began to shimmer with faint silver light, the storm reflecting in his fur as though he were a part of the ancient magic itself. Then abruptly the storm intensified. Lightning split the sky and a dark shape emerged from the mist, the black wolf, rival alpha, watching from above, its eyes burning like coals. It had followed them, drawn by the power of Lyra's song. Kalen growled, a sound that rolled like thunder through the valley. "It comes," he warned. "We must finish before it can interfere. The spirits will protect us, but only if the song reaches them fully." Lyra nodded, determination flooding her chest. Her fingers moved over the strings of the lute with renewed confidence, and her voice rose in a clear, defiant melody that cut through the storm. The song became more than a sound. It was a bridge between the living and the dead, between the past and the present. The black wolf leapt from the shadows, landing in the valley with a crash that shook the ground. Its eyes glowed with fury and power. Yet, even as it approached, the spectral wolves began to move, forming a protective circle around Kalen and Lyra. Kalen stood tall, his body gleaming silver under the storm's light. "Stay with me," he said, his voice a low rumble. "The song will guide us, but I must face this shadow." The black wolf lunged, but Kalen met it, their bodies clashing in a storm of silver and black. Lyra's song grew louder, stronger, wrapping around them both. She could feel Kalen struggling, not just against the rival alpha, but against his own fear, his own doubt. He had lived centuries under the weight of betrayal, and now he had to trust not only her song but his own strength. Hours, or perhaps only moments, passed in a blur of rain, wind, and magic. The battle was not just physical but spiritual, a test of trust, courage, and the bond between Kalen and Lyra. And through it all, Lyra sang, pouring her heart into every note, every vibration, every breath. Finally, the black wolf froze, its glowing eyes narrowing as if understanding something beyond its power. With a final, anguished howl, it retreated into the shadows, leaving only silence in its wake. The storm began to ease, rain tapering off into a gentle drizzle, and the first light of dawn broke over the valley, turning the mist into silver threads that danced in the morning sun. Kalen sank to his knees, exhausted but alive. Lyra rushed to his side, placing her hand on his shoulder. "You did it," she said, her voice trembling with relief. Kalen looked at her, amber eyes shining. "No, we did it," he corrected. "Your song reached them. The spirits have heard, and the curse it is weakening." Lyra smiled, a small, hopeful smile. "Then the pack," Kalen stood, his silver fur shimmering in the dawn light. "Some will awaken soon. Others may have been lost forever. But those who remain, who remember loyalty and courage, will rise again, and we will find them together." Lyra's heart swelled with a mixture of triumph and lingering fear. The journey was far from over. They had survived the first trial, but the forest, the curse, and the secrets of the pack still held many challenges. As they began their descent into the valley, the ruins of an old encampment appeared, hidden by mist and overgrown with vines. Kalen's eyes softened. "This is where the remaining pack may be resting. We must be cautious, but we must also be brave." Lyra followed him, her lute ready. Every note she had sung, every ounce of courage she had poured into the song had prepared her for this moment. She realized that the journey was not only about uncovering secrets, but also about facing fears, trusting others, and discovering strength she had never known. The valley grew darker as they entered, shadows clinging to the ruins like silent watchers. Lyra felt the presence of unseen eyes, of spirits and guardians. The air was thick with magic, old and patient, waiting for the next step. Suddenly, a soft growl broke the quiet, followed by another and another. From the mist emerged forms, wolves, silver and spectral, their eyes glowing with recognition. They did not attack. Instead, they watched Kalen and Lyra assessing, testing, but not hostile. Kalen knelt, his voice low and steady. "I am Kalen of the Silver Pack. These who remain are my family. The curse is lifting and the song has awakened what is left of us. Come forward if you remember loyalty and courage." The wolves hesitated, then slowly approached, circling Kalen, sniffing and recognizing him. Lyra watched in awe. The power of the song, the courage of Kalen, and her own resolve had begun to heal not only his heart, but the heart of the pack. Yet even in this moment of triumph, a shadow moved in the distant trees, a reminder that the rival Alpha and the darkness it represented had not been defeated completely. Danger still lingered, and the journey toward full restoration, truth, and redemption was far from over. Kalen looked at Lyra, a mixture of gratitude, trust, and something deeper in his golden eyes. "We have come far," he said softly, "but the heart of the pack and the secrets it guards still await. Will you continue with me?" Lyra nodded without hesitation. "Always." And so, beneath the storm-touched sky and amidst the awakening spirits of the Silver Pack, they stepped forward together, ready to face the challenges yet to come. The echoes of the song lingered in the valley, a promise of hope, redemption, and the unbreakable bond forming between a healer and a wolf, between trust and courage, between the past and the dawn of a new future. The first light of dawn broke over the valley, spilling golden rays through the lingering mist. The silvered forest of Erendor seemed to hold its breath, watching as Kalen and Lyra stepped forward into the heart of the pack's ancestral temple, half buried in moss and shadow. The air was thick with magic, older than any living creature, and the stones beneath their feet hummed faintly, resonating with the song that had already begun to awaken the spirits of the pack. Kalen's golden eyes scanned the ruins, sharp and vigilant. "This is the place where the prophecy began," he said softly. "Here the curse was cast, and here it can be broken, if we have the courage to face it fully." Lyra nodded, her fingers brushing the strings of her lute. She had sung to heal his body, to awaken the spirits, to call the remnants of the pack. But now, she felt a deeper weight settle upon her shoulders. The song that could lift the curse entirely would demand not only strength, but sacrifice. Every note would pour life and hope into Kalen and the pack, yet also draw from her own heart. Kalen stepped closer to her, his silver fur glistening in the morning light. "We have come too far to turn back now," he said. "Whatever awaits, we face it together." The temple doors, carved with symbols older than memory, loomed before them. Kalen reached out, and with a push, they swung open, revealing a vast hall illuminated by shards of sunlight that pierced cracks in the roof. At the center stood a raised altar, etched with the intricate patterns of the Silver Wolf Pack, symbols of power, protection, and prophecy. Lyra approached the altar cautiously, her heart pounding. "This is it," she whispered. "The heart of everything." Kalen nodded. The curse was meant to conceal the prophecy, to scatter the pack, and to prevent the awakening of our true power. Only by completing the song here in this place can it be lifted. A sudden gust of wind swept through the hall, carrying whispers in a language older than any Lyra had heard. The voices of the spirits, the echoes of ancestors long gone, stirred with curiosity and caution. Shadows flickered along the walls, forming shapes of wolves in mid-leap, of kings and queens of the pack, of guardians who had died to protect the secrets. Lyra took a deep breath and began to play, lightly at first, feeling the ancient power of the temple resonate with her melody. Kalen knelt beside her, his head bowed, as if drawing strength from the notes that flowed through the hall. Slowly the song grew, rising like a tide that carried hope, sorrow, courage, and longing. From the shadows, figures began to emerge. Wolves of silver and spectral light circled the hall, watching, listening, and recognizing Kalen. Their eyes glowed, reflecting the sunlight that streamed through the ceiling cracks. The spirits of the pack were waking, drawn by the song that spoke not only to the present, but to memory, to loyalty, to the bonds that had endured even under the weight of betrayal and exile. Suddenly, the black wolf, the rival alpha, appeared at the entrance of the hall. Its eyes burned with a strange mixture of anger and awe. "You dare awaken what has been hidden for centuries," it growled. "The curse was meant to protect this power from those like you." Kalen rose to his full height, silver fur glimmering. "It is not yours to guard," he said firmly. "This power belongs to the pack, to the bloodline, and to the one who carries the song." The black wolf snarled, leapt forward, and collided with Kalen in a burst of shadows and silver light. Lyra's hands flew over the strings, her song rising to match the clash of wills. The sound filled the hall, vibrating through the stones, wrapping around the spirits, and binding the two wolves in a struggle that was both physical and spiritual. Kalen's body shone with silver radiance, and Lyra felt the power of the song flow through him, strengthening him, calming him, and connecting him to the pack's spirits. She realized that the rival alpha was not merely an enemy, it was a test, a reflection of the fears, anger, and doubts that had haunted Kalen for centuries. "Do not let fear control you," Lyra called out, her voice rising with the melody. "You are not alone." Kalen's golden eyes met hers, and for a moment the rage and doubt in them softened. He could hear her song, feel her heart, and trust in her courage. With a roar that shook the hall, he pushed the rival alpha back, not with anger but with the strength of faith, loyalty, and love. The black wolf staggered, then slowly withdrew, fading into the shadows, leaving only the echoes of its warning behind. Lyra's song continued, carrying through the hall like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. The spirits of the pack began to move closer, forming a circle around Kalen. They howled softly in unison, a sound of recognition, reunion, and awakening. The curse that had bound Kalen, scattering the pack and hiding the prophecy, began to unravel thread by thread. Kalen knelt at the altar, trembling with the effort of holding the song's magic together. "Lyra, it is too much for me alone," he said, his voice hoarse. Lyra stepped closer, placing a hand on his shoulder. "We are together," she said firmly. "The song flows through both of us." Together they sang, their voices and hearts intertwined. The light in the hall grew brighter, spilling over the walls, igniting the symbols on the altar, and casting the spirits of the pack into sharp relief. Wolves leaped and danced in spectral light, their eyes shining with loyalty and courage. The song reached deep into the earth, into the very soul of the forest, and awakened a power that had been dormant for centuries. Kalen rose, silver light flowing from him, connecting him to the pack and to Lyra. "The curse is lifting," he whispered, his voice trembling with disbelief and awe. "The pack they remember." Lyra smiled, tears in her eyes. "We did it," she said softly, "together." The spirits of the pack circled them, now fully awakened. They howled in celebration, a sound that rang through the forest and echoed into the mountains. Wolves that had been scattered, hidden, or forgotten slowly emerged from the shadows, drawn by the song and the bond between Kalen and Lyra. The pack was whole once more, at least in spirit, if not yet in form. Kalen looked around at the reunited spirits, then back at Lyra. "You have done more than heal my body," he said. "You have healed the heart of the pack, and perhaps even my own heart." Lyra felt warmth spread through her chest, a sense of completion and hope. "And you have taught me courage," she said, "the strength to face fear and to trust, even when it is hard." The dawn broke fully over the valley, casting silver light over the forest, the ruins, and the awakened pack. Kalen and Lyra stood side by side at the altar, connected by song, by trust, and by something deeper that neither fully understood yet. Yet even in this moment of triumph, a distant howl echoed across the mountains, reminding them that the world was still vast, still full of mystery, and that the journey of the silver wolves was far from over. Kaelin turned to Lyra, amber eyes bright with resolve. "We have faced the first trials, but the pack's story is not finished. There is more to uncover, more to protect, and more to learn." Lyra nodded, her heart steady. "Then we face it together," she said. The pack gathered around them, spectral and silver, and together they moved through the temple, carrying the light of the song and the promise of redemption. The forest seemed to breathe with them, alive with the magic of loyalty, courage, and hope. And so, beneath the silver dawn, Kaelin and Lyra began the next chapter of their journey. The curse had been broken, the pack's secrets revealed, and the bond between a healer and a wolf had become unbreakable. The forest whispered their triumph, the spirits sang their story, and the world of Erendor shone with the possibility of new beginnings. Though challenges still lay ahead, the song had proven that even the darkest past could be healed, and that trust, courage, and love were the true magic that bound hearts, wolves, and the world together. As Lyra played her lute one final time, the melody carried across the forest, a song of hope, of renewal, and of a promise that even in the shadows light could find a way, and even the most broken hearts could find redemption. And Kaelin, the silver wolf who had walked centuries under the weight of betrayal and curse, now stood tall, free in body, heart, and spirit, ready to lead his pack into a dawn that was theirs to shape. The forest echoed with life, and the first rays of the sun glinted off silver fur, painting a scene of peace, trust, and the beginning of a new legend, one that would be sung for generations to come.